to Locking It In with Deb and Pear. I'm your host, Deb, and you're about to embark on an amazing adventure. This program is a resource of information for you about all things related to real estate. And before we begin, I want to remind you that your situation is unique. So always remember to consult a properly licensed professional for your situation. And please don't interpret anything that we say as legal advice. We're not allowed to do that. And my co-host, Perrin.
Yeah, I'm Perrin Walker with Mortgage One Northwest. My phone number is 253-226-6454. My email is Perrin at mortgagenumber1northnw.com.
Okay, I guess you don't. That's right. You didn't have your disclaimer today. I forgot about it. Okay, so today we're talking about property management, and I have as my guest Marie and Wes Pettie, and they operate Safe Harbor Property Management. Welcome, and thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for the invite.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Safe Harbor and how it came to be?
Well, we've been in property management for over 20 years. We worked for some of the biggest property management companies around in the Northwest and nationwide even. However, in 2010, we decided to go down our own road and become a family business. In doing that, we established a couple of properties that we had started managing. However, as we were growing in our little small office in Puyallup, we noticed that most of our new owners that were coming in were running away from other property management companies. Many of the complaints that we got is those particular companies were not really treating them with the kind of value that the owners thought they would. And our name was My Home Northwest. And so we thought about the name and how important a name can be to a company. And we in the resale market properties, there's a clause that is the Safe Harbor clause. And we thought in terms of that, how that it's a clause is similar to a doctor's Hippocratic oath. Basically, it's do no harm, and so we take on that motto. That's our theme. That's our mantra, as it were. And so we took on the name Safe Harbor because we feel that nobody should get injured in the process. So we don't want our owners to lose. We don't want our renters to lose. We don't want our vendors to lose. And we definitely don't want Safe Harbor to lose. So that's Safe Harbor Property Management. That's why we have that name, and that's how we got started.
That's a good philosophy, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And in talking to you, I got the impression too that you treat all the tenants and your owners like they're people rather than just a product.
Just a number.
Yeah. Some of the other companies, I mean, you can be so large that you can really lose sight of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We like to use the word respect. We like to use respect on all levels as far as our residents and everyone that's involved in the transaction, and especially the residents. A lot of times the residents are overlooked and people feel that the owners are more important, but we feel everyone is important and we treat them with respect.
So you guys do all types of investment properties, correct?
Correct.
Tell us about Section 8. That's something we talked about previously a couple weeks ago.
Well, Section 8 is not unusually different. Of course, it is for low-income
People.
but we treat them the same. We put them through the same rental criteria as
They have to
everyone
have
else.
they have to pay the rent.
They have to pay their rent just like everyone else. And
I think they need to just to see in the program too, right? If they don't, they get
yes,
kicked out
and
of the program.
sometimes the program will pick up their entire rent, but most of the time they do have a part that they need to pay also.
Yeah. And I think that if you keep the renters happy, they're going to take better care of the property, and
That's
they're
a
going to be
win-win
more
thing.
likely to pay on time, etc. It really has a lot to do
That's
with
another reason why it's so good to have safe harbor,
Of course.
Yeah.
And
because
then
people will care.
And the number one reason that people actually move is because of maintenance not being taken care of. So our focus is to respond to someone that has a maintenance work order, to respond to them based on the landlord-tenant law within the time frame that's designated in the law.
How long? What is the time frame normally?
Well, normally, if someone, in our office, when someone has a work order, we automatically respond. And we have an online portal for all residents, all owners. So when the residents put in a work order, our gal up front, Amanda Gonzalez, she responds immediately to that with a email to them saying, we have your work order, we'll have maintenance give you a call right away. But in the law, it's a 2-day for
Really?
maintenance.
Even
2
if
whole
it's a
days.
toilet and they only have one toilet,
Well, if they
you
have
have
one
2 days
toilet,
to fix a toilet.
no, if you have one toilet, that's an emergency.
Okay.
Yes, that is an
Okay,
emergency.
That's
emergencies
good.
are different.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
you guys
we have
respond
emergency.
automatically. Respond automatically.
Yes,
What
we
if they
do.
call you at 2 in the morning?
At 2 in the morning,
You can't get a vendor there then.
okay,
Is someone working at that time?
well, if it's an emergency and they call us, yes,
Oh,
we will
yes.
respond.
Okay, good.
They have
Yes.
my number.
Yes.
Oh no! Oh no!
But they are instructed not only by us but by landlord-tenant law to turn all work orders in writing.
Oh, okay, yeah. They
Unless
can
it's
just,
an
they can just
emergency.
email you, right?
Correct.
Yeah, otherwise
also have
you can
vendors.
say they didn't tell you, or you can get confused at what they want. Sometimes a tenant may
Exactly.
be not clear on the problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
We also have vendors that have agreed to respond to some of our midnight calls for that. However, we
You have to develop a relationship for them to do that.
Yeah.
yeah, right.
And you
But-
have the vendors that you use are also small businesses, right?
They're all small businesses. Yeah, they are. Yeah,
They're
yeah.
small businesses, but however, they're licensed, of
Right.
course,
That's important.
bonded, and insured before they
Yeah.
step on the property.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'm a big fan of small businesses. Big
Yes.
corporations lose sight of people, and life is about people. So
It is, for sure.
yeah, definitely.
Well, there are more. I mean, just on the point of business, there are literally more people that's employed by a small business than by all of the big businesses in the world. So it's just. I mean, small businesses are the actual engine that grows an economy.
Yeah, definitely.
What kind of things are the tenants responsible for that they wouldn't call you for maintenance for? Is there anything?
Okay. There is, like in the lease, it states that they are responsible to take care of the yard.
Okay,
There-
I didn't know that.
To clarify,
Yes.
do you have the same lease for the same contract for all owners, all
It
properties?
is uniform
Okay.
for all residents, yes.
Okay.
Another thing that they're responsible for is to change light bulbs when
Oh
they
yeah,
go out.
I was at an apartment the other
All
day.
light
and
bulbs, or what if they have vaulted ceilings?
No,
then we will do
Okay.
it. Yes.
Yeah, anything that they can buy at Home Depot, and they don't need a ladder for, they're responsible to
So
change.
they can fix their own toilet.
No.
Well, it depends upon what it is. If you
If
have a
it's just-
plunger, I would advise you to. I'd advise you to go grab that plunger and start to do some exercise, some cardio.
But they can fix the inside, which would be easy, but then they also might do it wrong.
We don't want them to deal with the tank or to take the toilet apart, to take it out, or do any of that. We want them to do anything that they can fix with a simple tool like a plunger. Then they should do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And one more thing that they're responsible for, and that is to change out the batteries in the smoke detector.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay.
Well, it is one more. If they have a HVAC system, they're responsible to change the filters.
Okay.
And what if they don't? What happens then?
Well, an HVAC system runs about $1,300
Do they have to come up with that?
if it burns out.
No, I'm sorry. I think the question is if they don't have a filter. Is that
No,
correct?
if they don't,
No,
if they don't
if
fix
they
it,
don't
if they don't
take care
if
of
they
it.
don't maintain it.
Exactly. So if they don't, then we have a vendor that we send out and have it done. And then if it turns out that because they didn't change the filter, then they would have to pay that service call.
Oh, they just have to
Okay.
pay the service call.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
And do you take it out of their deposit later?
No, we generally don't have to do that. Our residents are, screened and have an excellent track record as residents. So generally, we educate them at the lease signing, and generally they take care of it.
So tell us more about the screening process. For
Sure.
tenants.
Yeah. So the screening process starts out, of course, with a formal application, and a screening process starts out with a formal application, which the screening process is also connected with a rental criteria that we use across the board. And they have to fit into that rental criteria, and we don't. We use that rental criteria with the screening process.
What about for owners? Is it the same? What's
Well,
the
for
process?
owners, the process is, of course, a face-to-face meeting, and then we will tour the property and see if it's been maintenance deferred or not. Meaning,
Yeah.
if the owner is an owner that's going to be taking care of their property, we want to look at that and look at the property. And then we also ask for a current mortgage statement that makes sure that they're current with their mortgage payments.
Okay. So you would want the owner to fix up the property before that you take it over?
It has to be in good working order. It has to, be what we call military clean, and it has to be, everything has to work, all the systems have to work, and just be a place that would be nice to live.
So I got a question for you. My referral for you guys is a owner that owns properties free and clear.
Oh,
What do you guys just look at the tax statement, or what do you do?
Yes, well, our main reason to look at that mortgage statement is to make sure that the owner is not in foreclosure.
Yes.
So, if he owns it free and clear, then, we would
everything's
just...
fine.
And you don't want to make sure that the taxes are paid.
Oh, of course. Of
Yeah.
course, because
Now-
we don't want it to go that way either.
Yeah. I've heard renters tell me that when they move out, that every time they're supposed to paint and put new carpet in. And that sounds a little bit sounds like a bit
That-
much. Is that true?
Well, I think that goes back to how you're screening. If you're screening properly, then when they move out, that's not going to be necessary, number one. And number two, that's not an automatic thing to have to change carpet and paint. A lot of times we've moved people out, and the place is, move-in ready because they're such good residents. So that's not an automatic thing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I just heard they automatically hold back some of the deposit because they have to do these things.
No.
And it just sounded a little bit.
No,
strange.
we like to give the deposit back. That means that the property looks nice and they've been good residents. And of course, we have that that section that says we're going to have normal wear and tear. We take that in consideration, and a lot of times we like to give the security deposit back.
Okay. Now, do you have different rules for different properties? Say, like maybe an owner. Well, pets we can get to later. Maybe I don't know. Maybe the owner, like maybe cigarettes or maybe even cannabis. Maybe the owner doesn't want those on the property. Are they allowed to do that?
Well, the way we take care of that is all of our properties are non-smoking properties. So, and we have a non-smoking addendum that all residents sign. And so that covers any kind of type of a smoking, whatever,
Okay.
in the property.
Okay, great.
What about how long are the contracts, the rental agreements, and the contracts with the owners for?
Oh, that is an excellent question. Because in the state of Washington,
It just changed, didn't it, or not?
well, not for the
Not for the owners.
not for the owners. I'll take one at a time. For the residents in the state of Washington, a year-long contract is valid. If it's over a year, then it has to go through an attorney and has to be notarized
Really?
and that sort of thing. So, in the state of Washington, we do a year contract, which rolls automatically into a month-to-month, and then prior to that time, we renew. That way, it keeps going. They're always in contract.
Okay, and what about, do you guys do outside the state of Washington?
No,
Okay.
not at this time.
I don't either, neither does Deborah.
Now, we need to get licensed in other states.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Now, have you had issues before with owners where you've had problems with them, or you've had to drop them, maybe even?
When we interview owners, and that's the thing. They're interviewing us, we're interviewing them, and so when we do get into a situation where owners, it's kind of hard for them to let go of the property and let us do our professional job, then of course we do have to step aside because there could be a liability issue that, and even, I remember where an owner felt that it was impossible for him to be a trespasser on his own property, but once the lease is signed, then that resident is to have what is called quiet enjoyment of the property. And so if an owner feels like they can just step up to the property at any time, then that's trespassing. And some owners don't realize that.
I
And
did not realize that.
Yes, they don't realize that once a lease is in place, that is that resident's home. And you need to give notice before approaching, and you need to let them know that you're coming. Otherwise, you're trespassing.
Okay. All right. And do you, how do you go about finding owners and maybe tenants?
We have a large word of mouth client base referral that come to us. We also use Google. We have lots of reviews on Google that bring us a lot of clients. I have belonged to several networking groups where we network together, and they get to know us and send us clients, both residents and owners.
Okay. Okay, great.
What kind of stipulations are illegal, such as no children, no felons, stuff like that?
Well, there are fair housing rules or fair housing laws that we abide by, and that's what we stick to. I mean,
Yeah.
and then we do have new laws that have come out in reference to felonies. It is in reference to disparate impact. In other words, we need to talk to everyone the same.
Oh,
And
treat everybody
find
the
out,
same.
treat everybody the same, and there's, we go by fair housing.
You can't discriminate against a felon.
No.
Unless, what if they're
What if
a child?
What if they're a sexual
Yeah, a sex offender.
offender?
Well,
I don't know.
there are laws surrounding that, but basically what we have to do is make a good business decision.
Okay, it's a business decision.
Okay. All right. And curious question: can a tenant pay their rent using virtual currency such as Bitcoin?
No, there's only a small window of of how we can pay rent, and through check, money order, online, using a credit card. that sort of thing.
Okay.
Bitcoin is a little bit out there.
As long as they wrap
Yeah.
that Bitcoin around some real cash, that would be.
There you go.
All right. Now, and what about homeowners insurance for the owner? Do they have an increased liability because someone's
That
living
is
on
an
the property?
excellent question because generally the homeowner does have homeowners insurance, but we do suggest or let them know that it is better for them to have a landlord policy because that covers more as far as a rental is concerned. It covers them for loss of rents, in case something happens in the property that the resident has caused something in the property. So it's good for them to switch from a homeowner's policy to a landlord policy.
And you you told us a couple weeks ago that you require all renters to have renters insurance,
That is correct.
which is a great idea. It's only like $15, $20 a month.
Yes.
I mean, for what it covers. I mean, if there's a flood or if there's
Exactly.
whatever it is.
And if there is a flood, like I mentioned, that landlord's policy will cover that owner for loss of rents when the renter's policy kicks in, and perhaps maybe they need to be need to live in a motel for a while to fix it. That renter's policy will cover that.
Okay. What about medical bills? Does that get covered by renters
Yes.
insurance?
Yes, it does. Rental insurance will.
Okay.
I was just curious about that because maybe they find mold in the wall and that's why you've been sick and something like I don't know.
I
or
don't
you
know.
get
That's
injured, on the property.
Insurance agent question for
Or
me.
if someone comes on your property and gets injured, then you have liability coverage under the rental policy. I used to be an insurance agent years and
Okay.
years and years ago.
That's not my section. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So how long is the average vacancy?
Our track record is less than 30 days, depending on the time of year. Of course, there's seasons for rentals. If we're in the Christmas or holiday season, I'll put it that way. In the holiday tax season, it may take a little bit longer, 40 days, 45 days, but it's generally quick.
Okay. Do people wait for their tax return before they move?
Not necessarily. It's just that they, when we're in that season, people are just focused on getting that done.
Yeah.
Let's talk about pets before the show's over.
Oh, pets.
Yes, what kind of deposits are required? Do you allow them? That kind of thing.
Okay, as far as pets are concerned, we don't take deposits. We take a fee,
Okay.
which is a $300 non-refundable fee. One time for the privilege of having a pet in that property. And then we also have a pet addendum that ties to the lease. So if they're in breach of the pet addendum, they're in breach of the lease. And that pet addendum has rules in relationship to the pet.
Now,
And
can a landlord prohibit pets?
Yes, yes. In the contract, we ask them, how do you feel about pets? And then they let us know. They let us
Okay.
know, and then we put that in their management agreement.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Great. Now, here's the touchier side of things: evictions.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'm sure that happens sometimes.
That is my least favorite part of my job.
You have to go
but
to
it
court
is
for
my
that, huh?
job. Yes, but generally because, again, I like to revert back to screening. Because we're detailed in screening, generally what happens is once we serve what is called the unlawful detainer, which is the first step to an eviction, or actually the second step, generally people comply at that point and move out. And life situations happen that we can't predict, like loss of job, loss of spouse, or change in relocation for different reasons. So, and it causes sometimes people to have that deer in the headlight look, and they don't know what to do, and we have to go down that path. But we do have resources in our office for people that we have to work with if they need that. We have resources.
You have resources. That is unique
Yeah.
to your company, isn't it? That you
I
actually
don't know.
will give a research. I think it is, from what I've heard.
Okay.
You will give a resource to the tenant, won't you?
Yes.
That is just awesome.
Yes, and we try to, and again, we refer back to a law, rule, or policy, and again, respect for that person. And generally, when we have to go down the eviction road, we don't have a tumultuous or vindictive or
So it's not very often a
controversy.
tenant would trash the property.
No, because we work with them, and then this is just the absolute last straw. Yeah.
Yeah, some of the horror stories, not for us, but for other companies, are when you make this whole eviction process personal. Anger comes into it. They take it very personal, as if you are personally attacking them and asking them to live up to their part of the contract. But what it leaves is a destruction of the property. I don't want to give anybody hints, but people throw stuff down toilets.
Oh, no.
They bust out doors. They bust out walls. So
Do they steal stuff and take it with them?
and well, we've had we've never had it, but we've had stories of that. Sure, people do all kind of nefarious things. So, but it's all because it wasn't handled, like Marie said, in a way of showing the resident respect in this whole process, because they're at a hard part in their life too. You know.
Okay.
Right. Can
Now-
we, real quick, can we get your contact information? So in case someone wants to call you, an owner or a renter needs to
Of
call
course.
you, please give it to us.
Of course. Marie Pettie, Safe Harbor. My phone number is 253-302-3079. That's our office number. And our email address is safeharborrents@gmail.com.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, before we go, I remember last year there was a big deal at a place called the Tiki Apartments.
Oh, yes.
And where all these low-income renters were being evicted and they were rioting and all of that. I had a client who lived nearby. She actually heard all of the chaos from where she lived. So what happened there? And I've heard that maybe some laws were changed as a result of that.
Well, I don't manage the Tiki, so I
Right.
can't speak to what happened. And when things like that happen, of course, city council and those types of people are going to meet together. And in the past, when things like that have happened, I could imagine that laws have been changed because of it.
Yeah.
Now, you guys got some referrals from people that were evicted there, didn't you?
We did, and we were able to house a person in one of our vacants. So I was happy
That's
to be
awesome.
able to do that.
That's great.
All right. So do you do things like a lease with option to buy? Do you handle those?
We do, and when we do that, of course, you have to set up the lease, of course, and then also at the same time you have to set up the purchase and sale agreement. So the lease part we would handle, and
Deborah can handle the purchase and sale agreement.
Deborah can handle the purchase sale.
Okay.
You have to have both.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And does that ever happen when a tenant's already living there?
Oh,
Where they
yes.
switch.
Mhm.
Okay. Because sometimes maybe you like it, and
Yeah.
that's a big problem with renting. Is that sometimes you have to move because the owner wants to sell. But
Oh, yes.
maybe the tenant should get the first shot at buying
Yes,
it if
we always
they're willing
ask
to do
if
that.
if any of our owners say, "I want to sell," we always ask the resident.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And Parent, can you think of any other questions before we leave? We've got about a minute left.
I think I'm done. I just want to say this is Perrin Walker with Mortgage One Northwest 253-226-6454.
Okay. I'm Deborah Walker, and you can reach me at his number. And yeah, well, thank you very much. And in about a week or so, we'll have this up on YouTube and on our website at lockinitin.com, and we'll have also a link to your company on there so people can find you in the future. And
Oh, thank you.
thanks
for
again.
having
This
us.
And
is
there will be about I have a referral for you coming. Hopefully tomorrow. I'm not sure when he'll call you, but I'll give it to him tomorrow.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
Great.
Thank you for locking us in.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Wes and Marie Pettie.
Thank you.
Safe Harbor Property Management. All right. Thank you very much. Next week, we're going to talk about home security. So it's a very important topic that you'll want to pay attention to. So join us next Friday at 1 p.m. Thank you.